The kitchen is the room of the house that I've been the most excited for over this entire renovation. When we moved in, it was a tiny, dark, bright red room that was nowhere near the kitchen of our dreams. Our initial plan was to extend the kitchen, picture an island, a massive open space, and the setup of our wildest dreams. But this required both time and money that we simply didn't have. So we've decided to make the most of our tiny kitchen. When we first moved into the house last year, we gave it a lick of white paint and we did our best. For 10 months, we made it work in that horrible little kitchen. We've cooked, we've cleaned, and we've just made do with what we've got. But with the loft conversion finished and us moving downstairs, it's time to think seriously about what we can now do with this kitchen. So far, we've leveled the floor, we've installed a lintel, and then we've brought in some new back doors which let in all of the south-facing light and make the kitchen look so much more inviting. But it's still tiny, and now is the time to decide what this kitchen could eventually look like, and we've got a lot to fit into the very small space. This week we'll be mood boarding, getting samples, and going through a 3D design that we planned with DIY kitchens. If you'd like to follow along in our journey renovating this Victorian terraced house in East London, click the subscribe button. We upload videos every Wednesday. Probably a weird angle. I just filmed this entire clip, but the camera was pointing the wrong way, so I basically filmed darkness. So we go again. Right now I'm balancing my phone against my laptop, so I'm seeing you and I can also see the mood board at the same time. So let me just run you through, as always, my many thoughts. From my mood board, I can tell that I definitely want to continue what seems to be my style that I'm developing, or at least I lean towards, and that is super minimal, super clean, kind of almost Scandi Nordic vibes, but with some traditional. So firstly, in terms of the kitchen, I do want to go for shaker style units. I think they are traditional. I think they are absolutely timeless. And I think with the many different colors you can get them in now, you can bring in a lot of kind of more modern themes or tones, but still sticking to that really traditional style of kitchen. From day one of buying this house, back when we thought we were doing the kitchen extension and I was envisioning this giant dream kitchen, it was always black units. But unfortunately, because we're no longer doing the kitchen extension, we are going to have a very small and narrow kitchen. So I did think the black units or black cabinetry would just be a little bit too imposing on such a small space. So unfortunately, my dream of black cabinets won't happen in this house. So when I decided I wasn't going for black, I needed to think about what other kind of colors of units that I lean towards. And again, it's all kind of very natural, earthy tones. I really love the idea of a green kitchen, not a lime green, like these very neutral, as I said, earthy colors, but I'm not sure how long green is going to last. I love the idea of, where you prepare your food, your cabinetry being green. I don't know, those two things in my head are really associated with one another, but I think styles are going to change, and I'm not going to go for green units because I feel like they're going to go out of style and I wouldn't even have had the chance to enjoy them. If that makes any sense. I'd like a kitchen that can maybe stand the test of time a little bit more. So I'm going for kind of an off-white or a greige or kind of a lighter gray, very neutral palette. Again, I could even go for a greige with a little bit of a green undertone. I definitely think I could get away with that. But again, I need to get samples and kind of see what I'm feeling. Then open shelving. I love the look of open shelving. I think it's such a great way to bring character to the kitchen. I think you can display your most beautiful items. And again, because we will have a small and narrow kitchen, I think open shelving is absolutely the way to go because it will stop it feeling from quite so, enclosed or suffocating with all of these upper units. I'm going for white countertops. Again, for such a small kitchen, such a light kitchen, I want to bring in as much light or let as much light reflect as possible. So I'm going all white. We're going to go for quartz. I've always rented beforehand, and it's always just the absolute cheapest countertop possible. The problem with that is it's obviously not heat resistant. It's really easy to chip, and I do just think they start to look a lot more worn a lot more quickly than a much hardier material. So we're going with quartz, even though we're going to be renting it out. I think it's really special, and I'm really looking forward to that. In terms of hardware, I'm sticking to black or I'm going with chrome or just silver. I like the gold in a lot of these pictures, but for me personally, I'm just not at all drawn to gold or brass hardware. It's It's just not for me personally. I love black. Again, shock, you've heard it 1,000 times. And I would even go for silver if black is proving too difficult, or I thought the black windows, black doors, black hardware would all look a little bit too much. And then cool tiling for the splashback. I think the kind of textured tiles that I saw here looked really cool. And although we're splashing out for quartz on the worktop, I'm not going to be splashing out for quartz across the entire back of the kitchen. So instead, I'm just thinking of looking at some cool, hopefully textured tiles to act as a splashback. And I think that would look really cool. So those are my thoughts for the kitchen. Please let me know what you think below. Any ideas for a small kitchen would be massively, massively appreciated. But luckily, we don't actually have to wait that long to decide on colors or dive a little bit more into the detail because my samples have already arrived. So what were our requirements when looking for a kitchen? I'm going to keep this nice and short. As I've said many, many times, I don't know whether we're going to want to do a kitchen extension in the next few years. I don't know what our long-term plans are for the kitchen. We may well decide in a few years that we want to do a kitchen extension. We might find that house prices rise in our area that make it worth adding a kitchen extension. So basically, when we're buying a kitchen, we're not thinking of a kitchen that's going to sit in the house, you know, for 10 plus years. So we're looking for something relatively budget. We're not looking to go all out, but because it's a very small space, we needed to be incredibly practical. So we were looking for a lot of kind of customizability, or at least just really, really good cabinetry and storage solutions. When I say we looked at every kitchen place, I mean we looked at every single kitchen place. I can give you a very quick rundown of what we thought. IKEA, super affordable, but there wasn't a huge range, and I don't know, I don't love the super minimal look in the kitchen. I think IKEA is brilliant if you're looking for a very simple and very modern kitchen, but it wasn't really my style. Then I personally think we can group pretty much every other kitchen into the next band, and that is Wren, Homebase, Howdens, all of them. We looked at all of them, and a common theme that I saw across most of them was they did have their own kind of budget range, which was super affordable. I think for a bog standard kitchen, or if we had a bigger kitchen, I probably would have gone there. It was great. But as I started looking into the additional things I wanted, it did start to add up very, very quickly. So an example would be Homebase. I think their base level kitchen that I was thinking about going with was cheaper than the kitchen place we've ultimately decided to go with. However, when I started adding in all of the bells and whistles that are important to me, which I'll go into in a little while, it just started adding up and adding up and adding up. And it actually came out very significantly over the place that I have decided to go with. But ultimately we are going with a company called DIY Kitchens. Now, DIY Kitchens first came onto my radar through a YouTuber. I believe his name is Nick Morris. He does a lot of renovation content. He's absolutely brilliant. And he did do one amazing video, which was a very comprehensive breakdown to kitchen providers in the UK. And basically I learned through DIY Kitchens through him. He explained that he does, I believe, all of his kitchens through DIY Kitchens. They're affordable, great service, huge amount of customizability. And I think the thing I liked the most about it was the amount, and I've said this so many times, of customizability on their website, the different types of units, the different storage solutions. So I will go through that in the next part, which is our kitchen layout and kitchen design plans. But once we decided we were going with DIY Kitchens, we buckled down and we bought a pretty good range of samples. So let me talk you through what we're thinking for our kitchen. So here are all of the samples. Now, I've moved all of these into the dressing room upstairs because this is a south-facing garden, and so the light in the kitchen, which is the exact position of the house but 2 floors down, will be very similar. So I just want to kind of mimic the expected light when we are choosing our colors. Now, these are coming out a little bit more washed up on camera. Okay, I've just spun the camera around because it's actually coming up a lot more correct to color from this angle. So these are what we chose. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. So I pretty swiftly was able to eliminate this one, which is the Dove Grey. Again, it's showing up super light on camera, but it's quite blue. It's very, very cool. And I definitely want warmer tones in my kitchen. Then Muscle. I know what I said about green, but this is definitely more of a true green than kind of a sage or olive or moss color, which is definitely what I kind of was leaning a little bit more towards. So unfortunately sage doesn't make the cut. And then what is left is Muscle, Dakar and Cashmere. As you can see, I've very clearly got a color scheme preference because they almost all match the wardrobes, but I think that's great because I love the wardrobe color so much that I know I'm going to love these colors. And these are the countertops. So again, as I said, they're all white, they're all quartz, and they basically just come in varying levels of detail. So we've got this. So this is the statuario. This one is kind of a true white. It's got some gray running through it, but very little detail in terms of the countertop. This one, on the other hand, is the Calcutta Gold. This one I do really like that additional detail. I don't know if you can see, you can get it from the name. There's a tiny bit of kind of golds running through as well as the regular grays, which I do really like. I also think maybe this is not the right way of looking at it, but I do quite like if I'm going to be splashing out on quartz and spending, you know, thousands of pounds on countertops, I would quite like a bit more detail, a little bit more interest. But I'm not sure if it was this level of detail installed across a whole kitchen that I would find it a little bit too distracting, perhaps. And then this one is the natural stone surfaces in Cloudy. Now, I quite like this one. It's a little bit of an off-white. There's a slight bit of grey to it. And then again, you've got that detail, but it really does look like a cloud. It's not so much veined like the other two. It's more kind of muted or smudged almost. So let me put all of these together. And let me know in the comments below what your favorite is. I haven't chosen a kitchen yet. We have not yet ordered. So I would love to know. Personally, I'm willing to get rid of muscle. I feel like it's between these two. This is my current winning combo. It's the Cloudy worktop against the cashmere. Oh, but now I see those two together. I quite like them. It's so hard to decide. Let me know what you think. And we are now back in bed, and I will be sharing my screen with you and basically talking you through our kitchen design, how we use the DIY Kitchens website, and also some top tips on when you are designing your own kitchen on DIY Kitchens, because there are a few things we learned. Okay, so this is our kitchen. This is our kitchen layout. As you can see over here, it is just under 2.7 wide by just under 2.8 long. It's a very, very small square, but we're going to try and do the most that we can with it. DIY Kitchen's website is actually really, really easy to use. I found it really easy to design the kitchen. I found it really easy to put everything in. It obviously, like with a lot of room planners, comes up with all the warnings if, you know, things are placed too close together or there's an unnecessary gap, all of that sort of stuff. But basically what I wanted to do here is show you the 3D view and kind of walk you through the kitchen. Now, I must warn you, it doesn't look very sexy in the 3D view. Whether that means the kitchen's gonna look awful, I'm not sure. I try not to think about it. I freak out at every decision I've made so far. But I think the kind of doom and gloom and no texture, no flooring, that sort of stuff kind of detracts from the overall view. But let me just click 3D view here to show you what the plan is. So first up here, I am now looking at the lounge and dining room. So the lounge and dining room is through this wall here. What we're going to have is 2 floor-to-ceiling units on either side. Now, I am going to be removing this coving over here. I don't want that. I want a more modern finish, but you're not able to take it off in the kitchen design. They can add it in the notes. I'll do a little spin. So starting from this side of the room, this is our fridge freezer. It'll be an integrated unit. Then we have 1 unit above. That will be for cups and glasses and stuff like that. And then below, if you look this way, we have 2 600mm wide units. They are all pull-out drawers because we do have quite a small amount of storage. Almost every drawer is a pull-out. I find that it's a lot easier to store. You can pile up. It stays a lot more organized. So we'll have 2 of those on either side. I've got this here, which will be a pull-out for olive oil, seasoning, all of that stuff, a bit of a spice rack, which I'm excited for. We'll then have the hob and the oven over here. Obviously, we've got the extraction fan above, and then we've got another one here. I'm imagining that will be for mugs, tea, coffee, that sort of stuff, hence the kettle being placed below. And then we've got another 600 pull-out drawer, and of course, when you have limited storage, you prioritize a wine rack. No, we didn't have too much space left, so we thought let's just chuck a wine rack in there. Then this over here will be my dream heritage style doors. Unfortunately, I didn't have those to put into the 3D planner, but I can see it all come together now. I'm so excited. Anyway, if we spin around, this is the right hand side of the kitchen. This window will be black and heritage style aluminium to match the back door, but again, we couldn't edit that. We are getting a new window. We're going to have that window right above the sink, which will look really nice. And then if I bring you down here, we've got a 900 ml wide sink. We'll have storage underneath there for, you know, cleaning products, the usual stuff you put underneath the sink. On the left of that will be the dishwasher. And on the right of that, we have one cupboard, like regular cupboard, not a pull-out, and another top pull-out drawer there. Then this one here, the thing I am super excited for, and I'll show you in a little bit more detail in a sec. This is our pantry. At first, I was looking at these pantry units. I think they look so cool, so nifty. Nifty, am I 100 years old? Anyway, what's pretty cool about them is that obviously you are able to store so much, and I'm not so concerned about storage for pots and pans and plates and bowls, because firstly it's just Tom and I, so we don't actually need that much stuff. And then also because we have a spare room and an office, and there'll be loads of cupboards if, you know, we wanted extra stuff for entertaining or extra stuff for Christmas or any of that stuff. There are other places to store it. I'm not too concerned about that. However, my concern in the storage was food. Me and Tom love food. We constantly have a lot of food to hand. And so I just wanted to make sure that we would actually have enough storage for our stuff, and it wouldn't become, I mean, we've lived in a kitchen with no storage for, I think, close to 8 months now. It's a nightmare. So I wanted to make sure that would be resolved. So I thought these proper pantry units would be really cool. Then I started to think about counter space. Now, if I take you back to our kitchen, as you can see, the amount of unit space we have is not a lot. Let's say not a lot at all. And obviously we spend a lot of time in the kitchen preparing dinner, all of that sort of stuff. So we didn't want to take up too much space. And what are the three things rather, that I know are going to take up so much space in our kitchen? That's the microwave, the air fryer, and the blender, the smoothie maker. Obviously those cannot go on our kitchen counters because we would have no space left. So they have to be tucked away somewhere. That is where the tandem units came in. And that is where, as you can see here, you've got both shelving and pull-out drawers. Now, pull-out drawers are going to be amazing for storing food, tins, you know, pantry items, basically. It means that you can pull it out and see absolutely everything. You don't need to stress about what's at the back of the cupboard. You won't be forgetting that one risotto rice you bought for one risotto 3 years ago and it's been out of date for a year and a half, and you didn't even know it was there, and then one day you pull it out and you don't want to throw it away because you'll feel bad about throwing away food waste, but then you cook with it and then you're eating it, and the whole time you're eating it, you're thinking about how rice is one of the leading causes of food poisoning, so then you freak yourself out there and you end up wasting it anyway. So basically the drawers are going to be helpful in resolving all of that. And then what's even better is that you've got the two shelves. So what I will then be doing is putting our microwave in the shelf to use all the time, but then just putting the blender and the air fryer in the cupboard to take out when we use it. So I'm really excited about this unit. Some things I just wanted to point out when doing this kitchen. Putting it all together is really easy. Pay close attention to the configure tab. This is when you find out whether what you're doing looks right. So for example here, I'll click into hinge sides and I can see exactly how all of my different cupboards are going to open. So I know, you know, if I'm in the middle of the kitchen and I want everything to work for me, that's how it's going to look. I'm looking at plinths. I think plinths are the thing at the bottom of the unit to cover it. And as you can see here, or I don't know if you can see, there's clearly something going wrong here because my plinth there goes all the way to the end of the room, whereas my plinth here kind of weirdly stops next to the dishwasher. It's not going all the way to the end. That's where Here to Help then comes in. I have contacted DIY Kitchens God knows how many times with question after question after question. One of the ones I asked yesterday was, why is my plinth not going all the way to the end? And also, if you take a look here at end panels, why is my end panel, again, here perfectly to the wall, looks great, and my end panel there kind of looks like it's chilling by itself, almost to the side of the dishwasher. And that was where whoever picked up my query explained that I hadn't added an end panel to my dishwasher, so actually there would be no wood at the end and nothing to attach that filler to. So now I know I need to go in and edit that, add an end unit, and then that will come up perfectly. You can also just ask them to have a call with you while they go through your design and they check through everything to see if it makes sense to them as well. It's DIY Kitchens, but I found that I have got a lot of help along the way. It hasn't quite been entirely DIY. In terms of how much all of this is going to cost, we are looking at £5,424. That excludes the fridge freezer, the dishwasher, the oven, the extractor, the hob. It's basically excluding all the electricals, but it is including the sink and the tap. Now we could get that a lot cheaper, but I am spending a good amount of extra money on using extra pull-out units, having that larder / pantry, going for the quartz worktops. You know, I'm choosing to spend extra. We have saved and scrimped in so many areas on this house so far, and obviously we're not doing a kitchen extension at all, that I'm treating myself a little bit on the kitchen design. That is everything for this week. I really hope that you found this somewhat interesting. Apologies if you like watching a little bit more of the building stuff, and watching me talk to a screen for probably 20 minutes at this point isn't that interesting, but if it is up your street and you have got this far and you've enjoyed it, thank you so much for following along. Please let me know any thoughts you have on my design, anything you would do differently yourself. As always, I am all ears to improve. This is our first time. We have no idea what we're doing. If you've enjoyed this video and you are looking forward to watching the kitchen come to life, please do hit the subscribe button. We upload videos every single Wednesday. As you have already seen, we have taken the kitchen out, we've leveled the floors, and our back doors have been delivered. So we've got some really exciting stuff. Putting those back doors in, laying the floor, waiting for the kitchen to get delivered, and it shouldn't be too long until we have a brand new kitchen that I can cook in, and I cannot wait. Thank you as always for supporting. Thank you as always for making it this far into the video, and I will catch you next Wednesday. Goodbye.